Welcome back to As Per My Last Prompt. This is a show where I sit down with business leaders and owners, specialists, to talk about what they're doing with AI, what's happening in the real world, not the vendor pitch, just the real stuff. I'm your host, Stephen. Today I'm joined by Simon Burke. He's a chartered accountant and director of Acctivate Business Accountants. There's a business firm he co-founded from scratch, along with fellow chartered accountant Elle Green. Acctivate works with small to medium businesses across Brisbane and beyond, with a particular focus on construction and trade businesses and founders in the early stages of building something. What I find interesting about them is that it's not just the tax return and wave you on, they actually get involved in the technology choices and helping people get more value out of the software that they're using, which is being genuinely engaged with your clients. And I think it's an interesting intersect, sitting in that realm, knowing the industry well, but also knowing the tech. So really happy to have you here, Simon. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it, mate.
I'll start at the beginning. So how did you get to where you are now? What drove you to start and found Acctivate?
Mate, it's a really good question. So I've been in the accounting game for about 10 years now. Started off at a pretty big firm. I was stuck behind a computer all day, so I realised that wasn't for me necessarily. So I actually took 6 months off, moved to Japan for a bit, and then I came back, got back into it with more of a hybrid role of accounting and a bit of business development. So I did that, and then I thought, rightio, it's time to start my own adventure or sing my own song. And my business partner Elle and I used to work together. We started Acctivate, and we are 2 years old in July, mate, and it's been the best decision we've ever made.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate. It's good fun. It's hard yakka, but it's good fun, Steve.
Yeah. Were there moments of frustration or moments that were a bit difficult in this journey where you want to do it a bit differently? That's why people start off on their own.
We've been pretty true to ourselves throughout the entire journey, and it's so good having a business partner that you can share the wins, and a problem shared is a problem halved kind of thing. So that's been a really good component of it. It's always scary, and you might do some things that you probably shouldn't have, but when you're a startup, you need to really get some runs on the board. And we're at a good point now that we can be picky with who we're working with and be selective with that kind of thing. But you're right, we do really focus on making sure people get the most out of their tools and their software and their business, because we're in an age now where you just really don't need to be doing things manually. So we are big advocates of using tech to do the heavy lifting for you, so we can focus on the human component of the accounting service. So that's why it's great to be chatting to you, mate.
Yeah. No, and I love it. That's absolutely my jam. Helping people do more with tech. And I think pretty much every professional service needs to be heading down that route. And it is a bit ahead of the game for accountants, who are generally pretty resistant to change. So it's cool. I love the tagline, helping active business owners rest easy.
That's right.
I think the tech's a part of that. That's doing a lot of work in 5 words for your branding.
That's right. It's a pretty good summation, though, of what we're doing. We've just done our rebranding process, which has been awesome. And so whilst we do work with trade businesses, we do work with a myriad of other industries. We've actually fallen into e-commerce, and I know a lot about allied health as well, and just service-based businesses, because we're a service-based business ourselves. But that's right, Steve, active. So if you're hungry for growth, we can help you get you there.
That's cool. That's very cool, mate. I think we'll transition to question number 2.
Sure.
When it comes to AI or automation, what are you personally playing with at the moment? What's exciting?
Yeah, so I've found it pretty interesting, Steve. Everyone says use AI, but no one really gives you specifics on what to use. When you actually ask, what can I actually do? They just say, use Claude or use ChatGPT. So it's nice and vague, which is good when you're talking to other business owners. But we are, from an automation perspective, we've just invested in a business that's niched into accountants, so we can auto send any correspondence from the ATO and redact tax file numbers. That's a really big one, because it's really important to not be sending those in the mail in case someone's watching or someone's monitoring your inbox. That ideally they shouldn't be, but that just happens. Another thing we're doing is when an item comes back as received, this automation bot that we're going to have running in the background will automatically file it, lodge it with the ATO, complete a work item within our practice management software, and note down the result or the outcome. So that's a really big component of us, because everyone is outsourcing in a lot of service-based industries at the moment, which is phenomenal. However, AI and bots are going to really hurt the outsourcing industry or the admin industry. So it's really important to be taking the little administrative tasks off them that can be automated by a computer, so they can focus on bigger picture items and we can focus on bigger picture items as well. So that's just one thing we're doing in the automation space, mate.
Yeah, that is a cool one. The bots and stuff don't have sickies and they don't come with the headaches of managing an additional person. But the key part there, I think, is that it's a easily defined process. Like, it's a repeatable thing that needs to happen. Probably you'd have quite a number of tax file numbers floating in the wild in people's inboxes previously, just because 10% human error. That was just the way it was always done. So that is a cool use of tech, because there's a level, I think, that society's getting into with compliance, where 16, 17, 18, when the cybersecurity wave was happening and everyone was, ScoMo got on camera and was just like, Australian businesses are getting hacked. And at the time that this was the start of COVID and we were in a cyber operations center, just like, but like, yes, businesses are getting hacked. Like, is there some attack that we're not privy to? And it was just, I guess it was just awareness raising. And that kind of started everybody having this appetite for compliance, where they're like, we probably should consider this more seriously. Because the attacks did pick up. It was becoming more prevalent and all these cloud systems and that. But that's interesting. So it's a solution that you guys are helping develop, or it's a product that exists in the market at the moment? I don't know how much you can share, sorry.
No, just this particular company. So there are other companies that will do this for you, but it still requires some manual touch. This particular business sets it up so it's fully automated in the background, which is exactly what we need. It's called IA Automate is the company. There you go. I give them a plug.
Right.
My question to you, Stephen, is what are you using, Claude or ChatGPT at the moment?
That's a good question. We use Claude really heavily, but we don't particularly use the desktop app that much. I've been really interested in CoWork. CoWork's taken a few things that we were using in Claude Code and has made that accessible to standard users. And what it does essentially is just be able to edit files in a better way than what it did before. And we use Claude Code really heavily because we do a lot of code work. So it makes sense for us, and I believe it's the best tool on the market at the moment. But really, the things that we're talking to people about is more where the different solutions, because as you said, they keep it really vague. It's use AI. You have to use AI to stay ahead. And it's like, well, there's so many different... Yeah, exactly. And how? Like, even within Claude, there's 3 different models. There's the really small haiku that is really cheap, but sometimes gets it wrong. I can only think about so much. There's like Sonnet and Opus that are levels up, but they cost more and they use more tokens. So it's like not just within Claude saying this is a good solution for this task. Like having a look at a document and redacting stuff, like if it's in a consistent location or consistent format, then you don't need a large language model to read all of it. And I'm assuming that's what they're doing, that they're just doing some kind of document processing and going, that's the tax file number, get rid of that tax file number. So that's great, because the LLM will get it wrong sometimes. It's just a predictor. So we are using, but I think I have a severe addiction to it, because I'm constantly chatting with the code agents, like saying, all right, now move on to this milestone. But then yesterday did a rump roast, and I'm just chatting with Claude the whole time. Just, that's 5.8 kilos. Like, how long do I need? How much soy do I put in this braise? I don't have any idea how to cook, but it makes me...
How did it come out, mate?
It was delicious. It was really good, actually. I was sorry. I gave Claude a positive feedback. Just like, you did a good job here. Yeah,
Yeah.
good job here, mate.
I think it's just remembering when to use it as well. Like, I found myself, like, for tax planning each year for our clients, we need to go in and create a folder for every single client. I got one of the team to do this, and I thought, after they did it, I thought that's probably 2-3 hours they did making that. When if I just told Claude co-work, probably would have done it in 10 seconds. So you just need to have the presence of mind, and it's hard when you're a business owner because you're thinking about 1,000 things. So just think, oh, could Claude do this, or could chat help me with this?
And it's like we're a bit lucky in the sense that we would spend some of our time, like on the days where I'm not contracted, we're mucking around with it and just going, can it do this, can it do that, and hypothesizing, testing, and going, hey, this is really cool. But it's difficult, like you said, to know what you can and can't use it for, how much value you're going to get out, because there was a article I was reading, I'll have to find it and link it somewhere here. It was talking about the actual usage, where specifically around OpenAI and ChatGPT, they've got this massive user base. And they're just saying that we have, I can't remember what the number is, but hundreds of millions of weekly users. But on average, they're using it 1.4 times a week or something like that. And so it's just that a user, how much are they getting out of that?
Yeah.
And to your point, what can I use it for? What is it actually going to do? And if you have a crack at it and just say, all right, I want you to generate a document, a policy document that says this, it'll give it a crack and it'll be pretty generic. And they go, oh, it's too generic. And it's like, well, I've spent more time adding the stuff back in than if I had just written the whole thing myself, maybe. And that's kind of the sweet spot for us now, is that we sit in that space where we've mucked around with it enough that we could probably go, these are some low-hanging fruit. You could probably add this to it, get it to do these things. And connecting it up, I think, is going to be the next thing. OpenClaw, everybody's talked about OpenClaw. It was like Claude Bot originally. It changed names twice.
Okay.
And
That's an agent.
Yeah. It's like it's a standalone setup that will just trigger automatically and do stuff. And the power and also the risk in it, and they've plugged a lot of security holes in it, but when it started, it was pretty wild. The benefit is that it's connected to everything. You connect it to your mailbox, your calendar, like your files. You get all the stuff, and you could chat with it through Teams or Signal or whatever you wanted. And it would just sit there and think. And it's like a scheduled task on, hey, AI, think about the situation with the information you have and how you can add value.
Wow.
And it does that every half hour, every 20 minutes or something like that. And so it does come out with some good stuff, and everyone's like losing their minds. But the point is that it had lots of information on you, and the more you used it, the better it got.
Oh my God, yeah.
So that was what had really exploded and why it went viral, is because people were just like, this is my EA. I don't need to do anything. This just thinks about shit for me. And it does a really good job of that. And I think that's where it's going to head in the future, is automatically collecting this context so that when you ask it to make a policy document, it knows what it needs to do a good job of that. And when you're like, I'm thinking about the point that you made earlier about outsourcing versus using automation. If you look at what you'd need to build a good EAPA for you, they need weeks of sitting next to you, listening to you on the phone. Before a really good assistant is someone who's just, I know what he's going to want out of this. I know how he wants this written. I know this is how he operates. And so we can't expect AI to have that without giving it to it. In the sense that it will need to be trained in the same way and be deliberate about the information that we give it, to say, if it's going to come to those conclusions, it had to have all that info to begin with. And that's another thing that we're answering a lot of questions about, is how do I get it to do a better job?
You've just got to let it take a look under the hood, which is a bit scary.
The cybersecurity history that I have makes me really nervous when I think of those things, because it's like I've always been completely happy for Google to have all my data. And it's like they're giving me targeted ads. What have they done with that data that's nefarious? I'm not sure, but it doesn't seem that bad. It's been a few years now. But now it's like we've got a whole lot of companies that are now collecting lots of information. My chat history is probably more sensitive than my browser history now. There's a lot of stuff in there where I can ask it any question, no judgments.
Yeah.
So that's a level of data protection that should be considered as well. And I think some of them are doing a good job. Some of them give you options. But anyway, it is an interesting world to be in now, and I'm pretty pumped about it all because it is new and it's exciting and stuff.
Yeah.
But for us, it is mostly about, like, we've come from the automation game. I feel like I have every IT field as my background, but the automation game is what processes are repeatable, what are easily documented, because they're the ones that are, like you've done with the obfuscation of the tax file number and stuff. That's a good one.
Yeah, and just like getting all of your APIs talking between all of your different softwares and stuff as well.
Yeah, there's whole businesses that have run purely doing that.
Yeah.
10, 15 years where it's just we're integrators. We just get systems to talk to each other, and it's absolutely the holy grail.
Do you think that, so I know that you like to build bespoke software. Do you think more and more businesses will be building their own bespoke software now that it's a lot easier to create it?
Yes. Like, and we came across some mob in Melbourne who were thinking of, their pitch, and it's like starting at $7,000, replace your internal products. And it was like, that's entirely doable. Like you Xero is a bit of a beast. Most are. You look at Salesforce and its capabilities, it take ages to replace that. But what bit of it do you use? And replacing just that and then building it to do your things is definitely possible. We were talking about this last week, Brian, that works with me, and I were chatting, just saying, what is the future of this? And my theory was that this could kill Microsoft. And I say that as somebody who operates solely in the Microsoft ecosystem, so I don't know what I'm hoping for here. But they've had the dominance of operating system. They've had Windows as like king. It's just what businesses use, no matter how good Mac is. But if there was one that came out that just had AI baked into it, and it had a limited window with which to make apps, and you just log into it for the first time, it goes, what do you do? It's like, I make documents heaps. I'm going to pull this tool, I'm going to grab this, I'm going to build a platform here that makes documents for you. And it'd take an hour or two for it to make it, and then it's yours. And so then if that, this is my theory, and I say this publicly, while we're considering how viable it is for us to build a product like this now, where you won't actually buy software, where it will just be, it's in this limited window so that it isn't just creating anything, but it could definitely create pretty much everything you'd ever need. Where you're like, one of the things that I did for my 40th last year was connecting up my 365 to-do list to Claude, because I was like, I need to feed 80 people. I want to do cheeses and dips and meats and stuff. Go to Aldi, look on the website, and then just pad out my to-do groceries list with the volume that I need. And when it went through that, I was just like, it could take any of those tasks, especially if they're repeatable, and just make an app that does that without needing to connect it to services. So I think that's where this is going.
Do you think we're far off when you'll say, go and order that and click and collect and get it delivered to my house?
That exists. There's protocols. I think OpenAI have embraced it and they actually have it live where it will be able to. I know they've been talking about it for a while. That didn't appeal to me much, so I never. But yes, 100% that is going to be it, because like I've tried it and it's been relatively successful. Where I've just gone, here's a photo of the fridge. I want to make this dish. What's missing? And it does it, and then like the next week, it's just like, what's missing from the fridge that I need to order? And it's like, I know, and get some stuff wrong, but so do I. It's like, if I'm just using it in those, because I want to test it, I want to see how good it is. And that's super easy to test, where it's just, bam, take a photo.
Yeah, bicarb soda is not sugar, mate. Just remember that. Tell the AI that.
Yeah, it could be any white powder, really. So it's a difficult one for it to... But yeah, anyway, that's where I think we're going to get to, is that I'll be out of a job. No one will be asking me to make software, because there are platforms that have existed for ages. Like Lovable is one that's teetering on the edge of whether they're being successful still, because the big models incorporate what they're doing it. I don't know how this sits legally, but they're just baking it into the base product where it can do those things. And it's like this one startup company that's $1 billion valuation is now moot, don't really need it anymore. So bit uncertain. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of work for you guys.
Yes, but we will probably be out of a job one day, but hopefully that's not in our lifetime, Stephen.
I hope so too. I feel
I
like
can't be a
bleeding
tradie, mate. I can't get on the team.
I don't know if I've minded so much. I spend so much of my life at a desk. It's kind of, maybe not plumber. I don't know if I could do that one. The money's good. Last question. That was good. We smashed that second question. The last one. What do people outside of your industry completely misunderstand about what you do? What do you reckon?
Probably that accountants are just box tickers a lot of the time is the big one that I would say. Also that accountants have a certain stigma associated with them, that they're all wearing glasses and introverts and they're not good to talk to, when really accountants are the ones that are looking at businesses all day. Like, they've got the best insights as to what businesses actually work. Similar to bankers who are just looking at deals all day. They know what a good business is to buy. So I would say that people just think accountants just do tax returns. That's not what the accounting firm that I want to run is. And what Elle and I have come up with is we are so much more than just a tax return, because we can help with your cash flow. We can help with your decision-making process and ensuring that you're just doing everything with best practice, which is why we're interested in making sure that your software is on point as well. So you're not wasting time doing unnecessary tasks that could be farmed out to something that costs you $20 a month.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's since doing the business gig out on my own, I was a general manager at a last place and was involved in the process, the finance, but never fully understood how complicated it is.
Yeah.
As you said, staying compliant from a tax point of view is actually hard. There's so much there's so much stuff involved. I shouldn't be surprised that there's a really valid need for good accountants out there.
Yeah.
But like you said, the ones that can add value are the ones that can talk to you and have that conversation.
And staying compliant is one thing, but also being ahead of the game is also really important as well, because people can tick the compliance box and get everything done, but it's not much use if I tell you that you've got a $30,000 payable one day before the payment is due.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we emphasize and prioritize is being proactive and getting stuff done on time so that you know exactly what's coming up. Nothing's a surprise, and it's just dealing with the cash flow and the timing issues of paying these people.
And I guess the idea of using the systems and the automation really plays into that, because people would have confidence that you have the capability to do that proactive advice and be able to supply it, where it's, that always seems like in service-based industries, it's always about capacity.
100%.
You know, like it's always the discussion where it's, I've got this stuff coming up. Are you going to be? And clients are clients, and people will dump stuff on your lap all the time because that's just the nature of it.
Yeah.
And being able to roll with that's one thing, but I think you guys are set up really well because you're using this kind of automation and technology to be able to be more effective. So you can focus on that high value stuff, like
absolutely, and focus on the human touch as well. Yeah. That's all we're about. In this age of AI, Stephen, I think that's what will separate the businesses that have extreme longevity to the ones that don't, is who's leaning into human touch, handwriting cards and giving phone calls and stuff like that.
100%. Yeah. Mate, it's been great. Genuinely a good conversation.
Likewise.
Yeah, I'm always really happy to talk to people that are using tech in cool ways. So I think people will get a lot out of this, and it's cool to meet an advisor, an accountant who's happy to talk to people as well.
Yeah, you're a legend, mate. Thank you so much for having me on the pod.
Nah, anytime, mate. So if anyone watching who's a business owner, particularly if you're in any of the industries that Simon has mentioned, or any at all, if you're in the early stage of building something perhaps, and you want to get the structure right from the start, Simon and the team at Acctivate are worth the conversation. I'll have all the links in the description. Simon, thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Steve. Thank you, mate.
If you're watching, you've got someone in your world that should be on the show, a business operator, an owner, someone who's doing something interesting, send me a message. That's what the show runs on. I'm Stephen. This is As Per My Last Prompt. See you in episode 5.
Good on you, mate. Cheers, Steve.